KISS, of course, is one of the most theatrical bands in the history of rock and roll, and perhaps the single most celebrated element of their mesmerizing live performance was the fire-breathing routine performed by bassist Gene Simmons. For exactly 50 years, this was an integral part of the show, as the very first fire-breathing display took place on stage at the Coventry Club in New York City on December 21, 1973, and so far the very last fire-breathing took place at Madison Square Garden in New York City on December 2, 2023. What an incredible ride it has been! But how did it all begin? It all started in the fall of 1973, when KISS manager Bill Aucoin came up with the idea of having a band member breathe fire on stage. Bill initially thought it would be a great stunt for the band's singer and rhythm guitarist Paul Stanley. But when he brought it up to the band and asked them which one of you guys don't want to do it, every hand went up except for that of singer-bassist Gene Simmons. "I thought," Bill said. "Which one of you guys wants to breathe fire?" Simmons is quoted of saying in the oral history of the band's early years. "I thought, beep, I don't want to breathe fire. It was a negative question and I forgot to raise my hand, so I was stuck." So the matter was settled. Gene had to do it, and to prepare the stunt properly, the band's manager hired a professional fire breather to teach Gene how to do this in the best and most secure manner possible. The story has been told in different ways over the years, and Gene has been quoted as saying he learned how to eat and breathe fire from the magician Bang-A-Gonzo. In 1980, in a TV interview on the Kids Are People 2 show, when the subject came up, Gene said he was taught by a famous magician whose name he wouldn't divulge.
Gene, let me ask you a question. You breathe fire sometimes in the concerts and stuff like that. How'd you get into that?
Well, it was a famous magician whose name I won't divulge who taught me this under a secret oath, but I really don't want to tell you how to do it because it's obviously very, very dangerous, and I don't want anybody to get hurt.
These are really special effects that you take a long time to work out, right?
Right, and this is something that we do only in the shows. We don't like to fool around with it, we don't like to make fun of it. This is a very, very serious subject.
But in fact, the magician that was hired to train Gene was called Earl Presto Johnson. Earl Presto Johnson, born in 1932, was primarily known for his unique manipulation routines with cigarettes, coins, cards, and balls. He began his long career at Hubert's Dime Museum on Times Square in the 1940s, then went on to tour in carnivals and sideshows. He later got into the cruise ships, resorts field, and nightclubs all over the United States. Earl passed away in 2009 at the age of 76. And so it came to be that in the fall of 1973, in the musty rehearsal loft on 10 East 23rd Street in New York City, the magician known as Presto taught Gene Simmons how to breathe fire. On December 21 and 22, 1973, KISS returned to the Coventry in New York for a pair of farewell shows at that venue. It was at these two shows that Gene performed the fire-breathing routine in front of an audience for the very first time. Reported audience per night, 300 people. Ever since those two gigs, it would be a central feature in the KISS show. And it would remain so for the next 50 years, except for the Hot in the Shade tour in 1989. Which is the only tour in history where the fire-breathing was not included. As it turns out, Earl Presto Johnson taught Gene well, and there has never been any serious accidents during the fire-breathing. On a handful of occasions, according to Gene himself 6 or 7, his hair briefly caught fire and had to be smothered by a roadie who was standing by with a wet towel for just such an incident. One of those infamous incidents occurred on December 31, 1973 at the Brooklyn Academy of Music in New York City, when KISS was opening for Blue Oyster Cult. A more dangerous aspect of the fire breathing would be to inhale the fireball rather than spit it out when the kerosene is lit. This has never happened to Gene, but it has been reported that some fans have been injured in this manner when trying to perform the stunt in their own backyard. As well as setting his hair on fire, there were a few times he accidentally swallowed some of the kerosene oil that is used to produce the flame, and had to throw up on the side of the stage so it didn't get into his system. In 2005, Gene Simmons' original 1978 fire-breathing sword sold for $6,043 when it was offered on auction. Listen to Gene himself recall how the fire-breathing stunt evolved back in 1973, as told to Dean Delray on the Let There Be Talk podcast in August of 2022.
I just had to ask those questions because I mean, I watched History and it was fantastic. But I love it where you're just like, well, somebody had to spit fire in the band, so I said, I'll give it a try.
No, that's not what happened. We were in the manager's office, aucoin, and there was a guy named, I think, Amazo, something like that, who came in. Hey, check this out, guys. And we're in an office about this size, as a matter of fact, smaller a little bit, and we're sitting on the couch, and he goes, and singes the ceiling. And we went, wow, that's cool. Is he going to be like an opening act or something? Because we were open to any of it. Oh, no. One of you is going to spit fire during the show. And we were all like, I don't think so.
That's crazy.
And I thought he said, okay, which one of you wants to spit fire? What he actually said is, okay, who doesn't want to spit fire? So I put my hand up.
Yeah.
The other guys put there because they heard right.
Yeah.
Okay, you're spitting fire. You said who doesn't want to do it? No, I said, anyway, I got the words mixed up. Okay, you're the one. And on the very first show, I caught the right hands. It's on.
I know. I've seen it.
YouTube. Yeah.
But when you first do it, do you go outside and try it? I mean, because I remember guys when I was in junior high, they get a Bic lighter and they fill their mouth up with butane and go, poof. But this is
doesn't turn out usually well, does it?
No, never. No,
These
no,
guys,
no. Fucking, they're always fucking. But this is full on gasoline.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
And the first time you do it, are you scared out of your mind?
Of course. Because what can you point at? Who's I have to tell you a crazy story. So we're doing the very first show. We're fourth on the bill on a real concert stage. It's Blue Oyster Cult headlining, New Year's Eve. Iggy Pop opening.
Wow.
Another band called Teenage Lust, which is a New York band.
I don't know.
And we were opening a month before the record came out.
Right.
Nobody really knew who we were. So we get out there and we had the flash pods. We actually had the levitating drums that only went up 6 feet because guys are in the back.
Cranking it,
yeah. And we had bombs and everything. And it's the third song. We're doing Firehouse, Time to Spit Fire.
Yeah, fuck.
And I spit fire, I catch fire right away. The audience goes nuts. Oh. I didn't know it. Wow, these guys are going to kill themselves. That's cool. And then we do a song or two later, a song called 100,000 Years.
Yeah, I love it.
Which Paul and I wrote. Based on a book that I read called 100,000 Years by Eric von Daniken about aliens landing here and God knows what else. And we had the candelabra on stage. Now, somebody thought to get flash paper and fill it with gunpowder and just kind of scrunch it up, and I would sort of light it when Paul was saying, do you feel all right? And throw it over the heads of the audience, and it would explode over their head. And in those days, fire marshals didn't know anything.
Exist.
Nobody. It's just like you could do all kinds of wild, unsafe stuff. And what I'm about to tell you is the absolute truth, no exaggeration. I didn't throw it well. Instead of throwing it above the heads of the audience, this poor guy must have been standing on his seat, so he was taller than the other guys that were standing on the ground. And I remember this hitting this guy straight in the face. You ever seen those freak houses where you hit the duck and it goes back down? That's what it looked like. The thing exploded in front of the guy's face, and he went down. And for the rest of the show, we're thinking, oh my God, if this guy sues us, it's the end of our lives. We're waiting backstage, buzzing. Oh my God, I hope that guy's okay. The manager says, hope he's okay. I hope he doesn't sue us because this guy it exploded in front of his face. And I swear to you, who's that? Door opens up, and this guy looked like the Incredible Melting Man. This guy, the top of his forehead was melted over his right or left eye.
Oh, no.
But he must have been so high that he didn't feel the pain. And he said, That's the best man I ever saw in my life.
Like a melted face.
Oh, he was his skin, his thing was there was blood and all kinds of stuff, and he's just going, "Wow, man, can I have your autograph?" Yeah, sure. The manager took him right away to the hospital and had him sign off.
Oh my God!
They could have ended right there. So, needless to say, that was the only time we ever did that.
Oh my.